Hey everyone, this is Isaac.
And this is Jackie.
From Nonessential Media, and you are listening to the Beach City CROWS podcast. This podcast is all about our favorite cartoons, mine being Steven Universe.
And mine being Haikyuu.
Thank you for listening, and we hope you enjoy.
Hello everyone, welcome to, I guess, the last episode of Beach City CROWS. We haven't quite figured that out yet. My name is Jackie, and I've been watching Steven Universe.
My name is Isaac, and I've been watching Haikyuu. And Jackie just put her keyboard and got her note.
I'm done. I did it, guys. I made it. Okay, let me start by apologizing for us not having an episode out last week. It was a busy week for me.
Yeah.
And we were recording at the beginning of this week, and I'm still very exhausted from last week. And yeah, but I got my coffee, and we're going to talk about Steven Universe. So, the end of Steven Universe. Guys, what did you think about the end of Steven Universe? I'm really curious. You guys are going to have to let me know if you liked the ending or not. Change your mind. That was the name of the episode title. I was changing your mind. I should clarify that. So let's start with where we left off. In case you guys forgot, it's been 2 weeks. I don't remember. Reunited, yeah. So Sapphire and
Ruby
got married. Finally. They've been together long enough that it's probably already like one of those Commonwealth marriages or whatever it's called. And the diamonds showed up, and Steven let the diamonds, well, two of the diamonds showed up, yellow and blue. And he let yellow and blue know that he is Pink Diamond. And they love him now. They were just trying to kill him like a couple episodes ago, but now Steven is their boy. So Steven shows them Centipedal and tells them that they need to fix Centipedal because they're the ones that did it. And the diamonds agree. Yeah, oh no, we did this. How could we? I'm so shocked that us as genocidal dictators...
They knew what they did.
So they tried to fix Centipedal, but Centipedal doesn't last for long. That sounds terrible. But Centipedal's form reverts back to her centipede-esque form very quickly. And they say the only way we could fix this is if we get White Diamond, finally, because we haven't seen White Diamond yet. It's been 155 episodes, and White Diamond's nowhere to be found. So they decide that they're going to go to Homeworld. In a huge twist of fate, Connie's mom agrees that she can go to Homeworld. Wow. Connie's mom has had the greatest growth as a character.
MVP,
Connie's
Tsukishima.
mom. Bismuth is not going, though. Bismuth ain't about it. But they get on Pink's ship, which is a set of legs, which is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. I said it last episode that the fist thing was stupid, and I still think it's dumb that they're literally body parts. But anyway, so Pink's high heels fly off into space, which is why this episode is called Legs from Here to Homeworld. There's literally legs take them from here to Homeworld. Next episode is Familiar. They end up on Homeworld, and we were talking about this. The one thing that I really liked about this was we get to actually get a more in-depth look of Homeworld.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting to me. I think that from an aesthetic standpoint, it's very unique. It's a place that I wish we could have explored more. Like I wish more time was spent there. Like if they would have, I don't know, maybe done it several seasons ago, and it could have been something that was more of a reoccurring place instead of a quick 11, 20 minutes or whatever.
Yeah, and they could have even shown like a different gem's perspective experience, especially with the off colors.
But I think from an art standpoint, it's really cool. It's really unique. It's Steven Universe's strong point. It's art. It's background specifically. Its world building is what makes it. In my opinion, is what its greatest strength is, and you see that in this episode. There's a lot going on in the background. If you've only seen it once, go back and rewatch it, and just look at the backgrounds the whole episode. Don't do anything else but backgrounds. But Steven gets separated from a group, and he's thrown into Pink's room because he is Pink Diamond, obviously. My favorite thing about this room is the little pebbles. They're the coolest thing. I loved them. They're so cute.
Specifically the green shirt pebble.
The green shirt pebble that takes a picture with Steven's phone. That's my favorite one. You're my favorite one, little green. They pretty much do whatever Steven asks. He's like, I need a place to sit down. So they just build a place for him to sit down? What? It's crazy. Living in 21st century. He gets to go and meet Yellow and Blue Diamond. And so Yellow Diamond is in a sauna, I guess. It was a really weird... Was that what that was? Was that a sauna?
Yeah, pretty much.
So she's in a sauna. She disappears before she can answer any questions about White Diamond, and then Blue's Pearl shows up and is like, my diamond wants to see you. And so Steven goes and visits Blue Diamond, who has a spa. They're just living a life of luxury.
Yeah.
But they never get a chance to see White Diamond because White Diamond's too busy. Yeah, again, like, to me, the big thing really was just the aesthetic of Homeworld was really cool.
I really like, I think it's on their way to Blue Diamond's spa, or in their spa, I don't know. But there's, like, these gems kind of fused in a literal sense, like, to the wall. Mm-hmm. And they're still alive, and it's kind of creepy, but it looks kind of cool, too.
Yeah, there was some on the hallway, too, when they were on their way to see Yellow Diamond, and they were, like, whispering amongst each other. And then when they saw Steven and Pearl, they kind of went back to normal, quote-unquote. Yeah, I really like that. I thought that was cool. I think it goes to show you how the Gem Society works, and we've talked about Gem Society from a distance, but now we're seeing it up close, and we're seeing how integrated everything is. Everything has a purpose, including the walls, and it's not just to be a wall. Next episode is Together Alone. They throw a ball, like a dancing ball for Pink Diamond. And for Steven, he thinks this is going to be his best chance to see White Diamond, but White Diamond doesn't show up. Of course not. Connie convinces Steven that they should dance, and as soon as they get to the dance floor, everyone's like, oh my god, how could a diamond be on the dance floor? And then, of course, they fuse, because that's what they do. So Connie and Steven fuse to become Stefani, and then all hell breaks loose. The diamond's tyrannical ways are shown again. How dare you do something outside of the normal? They start attacking. And when I say attacking, they don't do some light little attacks. They straight up poof some people. Everyone gets poofed except for Stefani.
It still shows how the Diamond's view of outsiders,
or anything outside the normal, because it wasn't even outsiders, it was just fusion, and they, I mean, how crazy is that? They're just awful. Anything that's not normal to them, they will attack to the point where they are KO'd, if not killed. Like, they could have very easily killed them too. Who knows what the end result could have been. They throw Steven and Connie into a prison cell together, where I just want to point out there's no privacy for bathrooms. It really bothers me.
Yeah, we were watching this and Jackie was like, they're going to have to pee in front of each other, and that's awkward. And I'm like, yep.
I mean, luckily it's a really big room, so they can have a whole corner dedicated to, feces.
Like, this is my corner for shitting.
Yeah.
This is your corner for urinating.
Just things to think about. Then Connie gives, in the next episode, Escapism, Connie gives Steven DMT or something. I'm not really sure what it was. It was some sort of candy bar, and then suddenly Steven's on a trip, and he's flying through the frickin' universe on his way to meet God. And it turns out that God is Watermelon Steven. This episode is told completely from the perspective of Watermelon Steven. Steven inside of a Watermelon Steven. There's absolutely no dialogue. It's just like we've seen in previous Watermelon Steven episodes. It's interesting because this is the second to last episode and they took this approach to it. Not what I expected, but I didn't dislike the episode either. Steven had to find a way to get help because he knew without getting the backup that they weren't going to make it, and that was the only way that he could do it, was to project his consciousness like he's done in the past into someone that he could do that to, that was on Earth, so he could get the help that he needs. And it just so happened that it was Watermelon Steven, and we see the journey that he has to get to where Greg and Bismuth and all them are, to get them to head out to Homeworld. So it was actually, first of all, I just want to point out, this is the thing that got me. This is the best thing of all of Steven Universe. This is the hands down the best thing. A watermelon bird went to fly, and it didn't fly anywhere. It fell on the ground, and the next scene, Watermelon Steven is walking by some cut up watermelon. So
guts of the watermelon
it's literally the guts of the bird. R.I.P. bird melon.
This is one of my favorite episodes, and solely for the fact that it literally is the second to last episode, and you get that kind of time to relax. It's like the calm before the storm, but there's still an underlying issue within this episode. And you also get one last look into the Watermelon Stevens and how their culture has evolved,
Yeah, definitely. It has a lot. And yeah, I agree. It is like a step back. It's like your last chance to take a breath before you go on the final run. Is definitely what it felt like. But it wasn't pointless.
Yeah.
It wasn't an episode where it wasn't like they suddenly went to go see how Kiki's pizza delivery service was going. It wasn't a
Gemsona
Yeah,
episode. Exactly.
So it had a purpose. And I'm sure it was fun for them to go back to the Watermelon Steven Society and put it to use.
Yeah. Are we done?
We are almost done. The last episode was 45 minutes. It's called Change Your Mind. When you spend 160 episodes developing a threat, and the threat is literally genocidal tyrants, who even a couple episodes ago were showing that they don't have the ability to accept change, and that they are still so afraid of things that they don't perceive as normal that they are willing to kill, more or less, the best you could do in a kid's show. And you change their mind through dialogue. You just tell them that they're wrong and that they need to see it from your perspective, and suddenly they're like, you're right, it's not right for me to be the way that I am.
Such a bad message.
It's
poor. It's a poorly done. I'm just going to say it. It's poor.
For me,
poorly done.
It just, and me and Isaac have talked about this off podcast significantly. The problem is that I don't like shows that don't have consequences. And it felt like there was no consequences, that Steven could always talk his way out of any problem. It would be like if in Haikyuu, Hinata could just jump his way to every victory, but we've seen that he can't. He fails over and over again. He can't succeed just on his jumping power alone.
Yeah.
But Steven can just talk to these creatures that are millennia old, that have conquered entire galaxies, more or less. Entire solar systems for sure. And he can just tell them they need to change what they're doing. Like, it doesn't make any sense. I don't understand how anyone can be satisfied by this ending. And I get that, I'm sure there's fans out there that love it because it continued with the message that forgiveness, and dialogue and love and acceptance is what's going to make the world a better place. But
within their circumstance,
yeah, it doesn't.
Genocidal space tyrants.
And you can just tell them that they're wrong. A 14-year-old boy can tell them, I get that it's Pink Diamond. It's not Pink Diamond, it's Steven. And that's even like a thing that said a very powerful scene is, I'm assuming you guys have seen the episode, which is why I'm not going into super hardcore detail, but there is a scene where we finally see White Diamond, and White Diamond's awful. She's horrible. She's a horrible person. She's very vain. She thinks she's perfect. She's very selfish. She sees no flaws in herself at all. And she thinks that everyone should be like her. It's almost like a supremacy thing, like a race supremacy.
Yeah.
Like White Diamond considers herself to be the master race. Like, that's just really what it feels like. Everyone needs to be like her, or they're not good enough. They don't deserve their individuality. They don't deserve their liberty, their freedom, their lives even, if they are not as perfect as she is. She pulls the gem out of Steven. And I do want to say that I really liked the way they went about this. They pulled the gem out of Steven, and Steven, when he comes back to and he's conscious again, one side of the screen is black and the other side of the screen is what he's seeing. And then the diamond that has been pulled out of his belly, the gem, turns into a pink silhouette of Steven. And then you see the perspective of that Steven on the other side. And you're very aware of the fact that Steven, he's been separated. It's two different Stevens right now, the human Steven, the gem Steven. And Pink Steven straight up yells at White Diamond that Pink Diamond's gone. He yells, she's gone. And that, to me, should have, if they're, the whole reason they've been listening to Steven, the other diamonds, is because they think he's Pink Diamond. And then to have Pink Diamond itself say, no, she's gone, well, then why would you keep listening to Steven? Like, the entire argument for why they had sided with Steven in the beginning, because it's Pink Diamond, as far as they're concerned, is gone. Because she's gone. There's no grounds for this conversation even to be taking place anymore. But that literally changes White Diamond's mind. There's this line that the fandom loves, which was stupid, where White Diamond says Steven is acting like a child, and Steven says, I am a child, what's your excuse?
So corny.
She's a genocidal dictator. She's going to do whatever the hell she wants. Like, she's literally killed entire planets.
An excuse because she's a genocidal maniac.
She's destroying planets. Entire species are being extinct because of her actions, because of the actions of the diamonds, and they're just gonna listen to some 14-year-old child tell them that that's not how it should be. Like, and even then, like, the conversation itself, I don't understand how that would have changed anyone's mind. I'm at a point where I just can't even properly explain my confusion over this finale. There was some really great scenes.
Yes, I was just about to get into that.
I do want to say the color palette for that final scene was phenomenal, with Steven facing off against White Diamond.
It kind of looked like a fuzzy TV in a sense.
Yeah,
because even when Connie and Steven had that color around them, it was still very fuzzy. Mm-hmm. It's like I said, they use this a lot. It's like a noise filter, it looks like.
Yeah.
And it creates that kind of staticky look or fuzziness.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I think that I love that everything was black and white except for the crystal gems, Steven, that kind of stuff. I love that the color palette changed, and as White Diamond started to kind of take over people, they turned black and white. And it was almost like draining the personality or individuality out of these people so that they could conform to what she thought was perfect.
One thing I do think they did amazing at was White Diamond's ability to control, sort of like a brainwashing.
It's very creepy.
Yeah.
Nightmare fuel.
But this is the first time you're seeing it, and you're wondering, it's really sparking a lot of conversation and questions about who else has she done this to?
Well, it looks like her pearl.
What is the extent of her power?
Yeah, she seems really, like, her power level seems to be higher than everyone else's.
Yeah.
I mean, just from what we've seen, obviously. I mean, they gave us, we got like 20 minutes with her because they had to end the show, obviously. I mean, they didn't have any... I haven't seen Steven Universe Future or anything like that, but I'm just in this season anyways, or series.
I do like how we finally got a updated Rose Quartz fusion and a fusion with Steven and Garnet. Because that's always something I wanted to see, was that fusion.
Yeah, they kind of really did all the fusions that they could. They kind of really mixed it up.
Oh, and the temple fusion.
The temple. Oh, yeah. Okay, we were in agreement when the temple fusion came on. I was like, that's cool. That's a cool design. I really... And it's something that we've seen since episode 1, because it is the temple.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen that. It's something that it's almost like calling back to, like, have you been paying attention to...
Well, and it's so cool because I'm thinking about all the conspiracy theories, like... People had it since day one. Okay, this fusion, this temple, has to be something. There has to be some significance. Like, there's gems placed on its hand, its forehead, everything, And all the gems look like the crystal gems. So You're wondering, is this a fusion between them? Which is confirmed in this episode.
Yeah.
Also, there was a theory for White Diamond's powers, which was confirmed. Everyone thought that she would have... kind of sort of like a brainwashing mind control power, which I thought was kind of cool. It's paid off in that sense for conspiracy theorists.
See, and I didn't have time to do any of that because I was watching, because the show is over. Like, there was no wait for me. There was no, I wonder what's going to happen next. It was, okay, I'm watching the next couple episodes. There was no months and months in between Steven bombs for me. It was just moving on to the next episode. There was no theories. And I've said this before, I think the show really, what helped it stay afloat during all those breaks was the fact that there is so much that you could theorize about. If you're stuck having to wait for months and months, it's easy to go back in the show and look for the symbolism and look for the foreshadowing and start kind of building your own theories and your own conspiracies about what some of that stuff means. So that would be, I think probably watching it as it aired was probably funner than watching it now.
Yeah, definitely.
Not a bad show. I'm not trying to sit here and say Steven Universe terrible. I just gotta say that 160 episodes to build up to talking. Like, yeah, there was kind of some fighting, but it didn't. there was just no resolution, really.
I will say the sense of danger in that whole scene was amazing, but the conclusion just made it feel so underwhelming after that.
Well, I think that's the problem, is you build up the hype and you build up that sense of danger to come to realize that it doesn't mean anything. Like, he was just going to talk. I talked about this when we were at the cluster. If he's going to talk his way out of the cluster, what's going to stop him from talking his way out of the diamonds? Like, it makes sense. Steven's power is that he can talk literally anyone out of doing anything and make them become good just through his words. Which it's just not real. It's just, and that's kind of the unfortunate thing. And I get that it's a children's show, but they're also just gems. You could have still killed somebody, and it would have been killed a gem. I mean
they killed Lars.
Yeah, Lars literally...
Why can't they?
Yeah, Lars actually... He came back so fast, though, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if you can kill Lars, why can't you kill a diamond? You know, why didn't they team up to get rid of White Diamond since she's the worst one or something? You know, they could have done so many different things. The animation was really good. We talked about, I think it's James Baxter was the one who did some guest animation. And you know as soon as you see it, I mean, it's so obvious. It's a Disney-style animation. It's super fluid.
I think that deserves, like, an award. I think it actually got an award, if I'm not mistaken.
That's not surprising, because that animation alone is better than anything else on TV. That's high quality. Like,
that
all their budget went into that 10 seconds right there. It looked phenomenal. And it was a great scene, too. I mean, you know, you have the two separate sides of Steven, you know, reunited and embracing, and it's like Steven accepting who he is. He's accepting all of it.
And I'm glad they chose that scene to be so well animated, because that is what we've been wanting to see throughout this whole series. Steven has struggled with who he is.
Yeah, absolutely.
As a person, as a gem, as a entity. So I just thought it was really cool that they chose that scene.
Absolutely,
like,
I agree.
This is the moment that Steven really understands who he is.
Yeah, and I think that at the end of the day, that's what it's really about. It's not about who won. It's not about the diamonds are changing, because that doesn't matter at the end of the day, because the story really is Steven
universe.
Yeah, it is. And I agree 100% that it's the entire, you know, even in the episodes that, the Beach City episodes, you know, it really is still Steven finding his place, and not just in the community, in the universe, but his place within himself. He's trying to settle on his identity, because how confusing is it to have, number one, you've never met your mom, but your mom's also a space alien. Your dad is kind of a drifter. You are literally half human, half gem, and you don't know.
You're literally your mom.
You're literally your mom, yeah, and you don't even know who your mom is. And there's constantly more stuff that he's learning about his mom, and he's probably sitting there going, like, what does this mean to me? What does this mean to who I am? And I think at the end of all this, he decided that he is who he is, and he loves and accepts all of it, and he embraces all of it. And without every aspect of him, he's not Steven. So, yeah, I agree. If they're going to do anything, action be damned. If anything mattered, that was the scene that mattered the most. Yeah. That wrapped up all 160 episodes in 10 seconds. Connie's a badass. Would you say that? Connie's
the true MVP.
Connie is the MVP of
and I
this
just thought that
show.
Was so cool how she was the one to carry Steven's
literally
human half.
Carried him, yeah.
She literally, I just realized that's like Symbolism. She literally carried him to himself, to find himself.
Yeah.
What?
That's what friends do.
She's a real one.
She's just out there kicking ass and helping Steven find himself. Beautiful. What a great, and regardless of whether or not, I've heard some things about future, unfortunately, but whether or not they become a couple in the future is irrelevant, because that moment is something, that, Isaac over here beating himself up. I think that moment, that goes to show you that, you have those people in your life that help you find who you are. The way Steven's been doing. Steven's been doing that for everyone the whole freaking show. He's been helping people.
But he can't do it for himself. He couldn't do it for himself.
And that he had that outside love and support from, especially Connie, but not just Connie, everyone that was there. And even his dad back home. To help him find who he really was. So...
Going back to redeeming the diamonds, specifically White Diamond, when they come back to Earth with the diamonds to uncorrupt everyone, as they're uncorrupting some of the gems, they're looking at their forms, and White Diamond has kind of a disgusted look on her face. And I'm like, that's still not enough to be like, oh, well, she's still like being redeemed as we speak, And that still just shows I guess stuck in her ways she still is, Well,
yeah, people don't change overnight, you know what I mean? And
but that's what I'm saying, is the change made you feel like she changed overnight, but then there's still residual stuff, and it's like you can't do that while also her being redeemed within a 10 minute, I should say.
Yeah, you almost wonder when she's going to snap and just decide to kill everyone on Earth.
Honestly, that's what it feels like. Yeah. It's like she's a psychopath, and she's like, I'm going to make you think that I'm redeemed. But then I'm really going to go to Earth and finish the job myself.
God, I wish.
Because that would
be the way it should be. No, that would be awesome. I don't want a show to be unnecessarily dark and edgy, but I do want...
They kind of wrote themselves into it.
I do want an ending.
Yeah.
And I just feel like that you can't... I just feel like talking your way out of it is cheap. You know, you build up the hype for something epic, and it had some good... I mean, the storyboarding was great for the action scenes it did have. We talked about the fusions. That was awesome. The temple fusion especially, like, that was freaking awesome. Like, and I'm just saying, like, the sword and everything, it was so cool. But
Can I just say, 20% of our interactions from being to being is talking. The rest of it is pretty much physical.
Is this a true statistic, or are you making this shit up?
In that sense, wouldn't you...
Beat the shit out of White Diamond?
Yeah.
Would I beat the crap out of Hitler? Yeah. Like, there's...
It's just, to me, from a common sense standpoint, you can't fix everything with words.
Well, you can't necessarily change Ted Bundy by talking to him. And I think that's what it comes down to, is I think they made it so clear over and over again that the diamonds literally kill planets. They're planet killers. They colonize, they destroy all life. That's why...
They're destroying their own planet. Trying to get all the resources.
And, and Peridot even brings up that one of the reasons why she stays on Earth is because of life. Because life is so unique. Organic life is so unique. That's what the diamonds have been destroying. That is genocide. When you are going and destroying entire species, that is genocide. It's what it is. And to have that be made so clear for over 100 episodes that that's what we're going up against. And then apparently they will just quit their ways... Quit conquering entire galaxies, quit killing off entire species of living creatures, wiping out entire planets of all of its vegetation and all of its insects, and all of it's gone. You don't need to be like this, White Diamond. Oh, you're right. I don't need to act like a child. What? That doesn't make any sense. That's the stupidest thing.
I would be fine if the diamonds died, or...
If they got, like, poofed or something, and then they were reborn and didn't have any memories or something. If we never saw them
again, if they were locked away somehow, or, poofed forever, stuck in a bubble forever somehow, it would make sense, you know?
Absolutely. There's some sort of conclusion to it that way. And I just feel like that it was almost like they wrote themselves into a corner, and they just couldn't, they wanted this really big... threat, and it is a big threat, and it does create a sense of danger, but they didn't know how to resolve that in a way that felt real, that helped me connect with the situation. I didn't connect with the situation. I'm already having difficulties connecting, but then that really just, it's like, okay, that's not how anyone is going to handle that situation. No living creature is going to do that. That doesn't make any sense. Not that it's bad, it's just, okay, it's bad. It's disappointing, to say the least.
It is. That's the word. It's very disappointing. Especially if you love every other aspect of the show, except for the writing. It hits the mark on all these other things, and then one thing just has to be off, and that one thing happens to be the most important thing.
Yeah, the ending. I mean, there's people out there, I'm sure, that love it because it stays true to the vision that is established in the beginning, that Steven is this... entity that can talk his way out of everything and talk peace to the world, but it doesn't work that way in real life. And I get that it's a fantasy and it's meant for you to escape reality, but we get that it's a kid show, but that's not a good message to teach to kids. Look, I grew up watching kid shows. I grew up watching The Real Adventures of Johnny Quest. Those poachers died. Johnny Quest and Jesse and Haji killed people to survive and to save
Maybe
things.
Don't show kids death, but don't tell kids that if someone's trying to come after them, like trying to kill them, I don't know, somehow, you can't just talk your way out of it.
It doesn't always work that way, And Steven is a very powerful being, and I guess Steven's holier, and I think maybe that's the problem. One of the issues I've had with Steven is that I can't connect with someone who's holier than everyone else. That he's literally Jesus. He's saving the world by preaching kindness, not even the world, the universe, by preaching. That's what he's doing. It's a religion, okay? It's just not... Stevenism. Are you a believer in Stevenism? Like I said, there was some really cool things in the ending.
There was.
And it's unfortunate that it's all wiped from my memory because I'm just so like, what the about the... ending. It's just not what I would have wanted.
Anyways, so that was the ending of Steven Universe. What are your ratings for overall show?
Character designs on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best, 1 being the worst.
Yeah.
Overall 7. Background art, 9. Music, probably a 7. There's some moments where we were even watching some episodes today, and I was like, that's video game music. And it was cool at first, but towards the end, I kind of wanted something a little more bigger, I guess.
Dramatic.
But I get, I mean, it's a Saturday morning cartoon show. You know, you only can do what you can. Characters...
Okay, so me and Jackie talked about it. The interactions and the reactions.
It's so over the top.
Characters.
It's too much. It's not real.
I think that's what Jackie was talking about when she said she already can't really connect. It's because of those reactions and how they're just kind of, I don't know the right words, they're just kind of awkward.
Yeah, it's all very awkward. It's all very dramatic and over the top. And it's like every emotion has to be the most extreme version of that emotion. There's no subtlety to it. When in reality...
they can't just live.
Yeah, exactly. Everything has to be... Everything goes... There's been a couple moments, and I wish I had, could think of them off the top of my head. But like I said, it's been a long couple weeks for me. Where the reaction was so over the top that it didn't make sense. And it wasn't just that there's one character that does that, because if there was one character doing that, that would be that character.
Yeah.
But it's every character does it. At some point, every character suffers every emotion to the fullest extent. And at times where it just didn't, I'm like, okay, I get that I'm moderately sociopathic and I process emotions a little bit more robotically than some people, but... it just when you see that over the top forced reaction, you can't connect to that character because it's not like me and you. Like if I'm interacting with you and you express a subtle emotion, I'm going to pick up on that. If you're going over the top screaming, I'm not going to hang out with you. It's going to be annoying. And
could you imagine? Oh my God.
Imagine if everyone in the whole world acted like Steven Universe characters.
And you told them that you just took the biggest dump. I'm so sad.
What the fuck?
That was a horrible
analogy.
Okay, so if someone came up to you and they're like...
Okay, look, my coffee's getting cold. Imagine if I was screaming over my coffee being cold.
Oh, so angry.
This coffee's cold!
Throw it, break it on the ground.
I need warm coffee.
But that was you in every scenario.
Yeah, that's how
your whole life.
Yeah, that's how they are. There's no subtlety to any of it. It's like they couldn't. It's like they didn't know. I don't know. I don't know if they were trying to because it's a kids show. They were trying to express emotions in a way that's obvious for kids. But look, when I was a young kid and watching shows, I could pick up on subtle emotion. I think it's dumbing it down if they did that.
It's
for
a
kids.
Human nature type thing.
Yeah,
you just emotion. You know
exactly.
What I mean?
Yeah, and without a doubt, because me and Isaac were chatting about this a while ago, and we just haven't said it in the podcast yet because we still had some episodes to go. I was like, I can't understand why I'm not connecting with these characters. I don't understand. I'm having such a hard time. And it was Isaac who pointed out that it's the way they react to situations. It's not real. And if you can't consider a character relatable if they're not reacting in a realistic way, if it feels very forced.
That's why I've always
dramatic.
had a hard time connecting with the main character, Steven.
Oh, Steven's, first of all, like I said, he's got that holier-than-thou personality. He can do no wrong, which is awful. But
then you add the forced emotion on top of it, and it's like...
Yeah.
What?
They all have forced emotion, and that's the thing that I don't really like about it. And a lot of people, this Steven Universe was hyped so much for me. There was a lot of people saying that it is the greatest cartoon show ever created. And everyone really hyped up the characters. And I love characters. I love well-written, deep characters. More than anything, I think that carries a show. And there is no depth. Because they all react the same way. They all react over dramatically. They all react in a forced way. It feels rehearsed almost. And there's been times where we've been watching Steven Universe together and someone would react and I would just turn to Isaac and be like, I don't understand why they're screaming about this, why they're crying, why they're being so childish. Everyone's very childish in this show.
Yeah, and it's just an immaturity.
Yeah, and
Garnet's the only one that I don't have an issue with her reactions because hers are the only ones that are really...
Up until kind of sort of the last couple seasons,
yeah.
And there was a couple moments where I was like, that doesn't seem like a very... And you can't sit here and tell me it's because her character grew, and so she's reacting to emotions more now. We didn't see that happen, so that doesn't make any sense, and maybe that's what it... Here's the thing, if you're having them act childish so that kids can relate to their reactions, you're not teaching the kids anything. You're teaching them that it's okay. Their favorite character is screaming about something and acting like a child and refusing to talk about it and all this stuff. And that aspect of them never changes. It's that way for 160 episodes, that characters didn't change their childish attitudes up to the very end.
That is my biggest problem with kids shows in general, even Disney shows aimed at like preteens or something. They have that stereotype where the family is always a certain way. Like the dad's really dumb, the mom's very controlling and mean, and then the kids, there's always that dumb brother.
The like annoying little sister.
Annoying sister, but she's like a super mad genius. Mm-hmm. You see it in Gumball too. Like that's literally, Amazing World of Gumball is literally the textbook definition of what I just explained. It's like that stereotype.
Well, Gumball did that because that's what they're making fun of. You know, there's a difference. You know, Gumball's not taking itself seriously. Steven Universe is taking itself seriously. Yeah. You know, but sorry, continue.
I don't think that's a good thing to teach kids.
It's not.
It really isn't. And a lot of people think, oh, it's just a show, but it's like...
Kids are impressionable.
Yeah. Kids are picking up on reactions to characters and conclusions.
Look, I'm gonna say, you know, like I said, I grew up watching Real Adventures of Johnny Quest. I know I'm dating myself when I say that. Like, I'm in the 90s. I grew up in the 90s, okay? Born in the 80s, grew up in the 90s. And I went out exploring with my brother and his friends and climbed cliffs and climbed trees and disappeared in the hills for hours at a time because I wanted to be like Jessie Bannon from The Real Adventures of Johnny Quest. I thought she was a badass. I did the things that she did. I talked the way she talked. And because when I was a kid, I looked up to the fictional character. That's what you do when you're a kid. And even now, we've talked about, you know, you can be inspired. We watch stuff like, you can watch stuff like Steven or stuff like IQ, and Steven, you want to improve who you are and become a better person and become more forgiving and more loving and, you know, accepting, and that's fucking awesome. And you watch something like IQ and you think, I need to go work out. Like, I get it, you know? I need to not give up, that kind of stuff. You can still be inspired by stuff, and to think that kids wouldn't be influenced by how a character is acting in a cartoon show would just be ludicrous. Yeah. They're going to absolutely go and emulate Amethyst. Of course they are. And you don't want a kid acting like... You want there to be consequences when she acts childish, but there isn't any consequences in the Steven Universe. And because of that, the characters, they don't grow as much as they could. I think Amethyst is still Amethyst at the end of the day. There's glimpses of how she could have changed, but she really doesn't. But then the diamonds can change in 10 minutes. Yeah. That doesn't make any sense. Why is Amethyst still acting like she's an annoying brat?
Amethyst is nowhere near... She has not done the amount of damage, anywhere near the amount of damage that the diamonds have done. So how can't she be redeemed in 10 minutes, but the diamonds can?
Especially because the diamonds are older, and they're powerful, so they should be stuck in their ways. Yeah. And then Amethyst should be at that, you know, I get that she's really old because she's a gem, but she's a childish gem. She should be at that point where change comes a lot quicker.
She's definitely the younger of all of them.
Oh, absolutely. Back to the grading. So characters I can't really give a grade to because I think they're lacking. I think I think that the growth wasn't where I wanted it to be. The depth wasn't where it was hyped up to be. Like I said, people were coming at me before I watched this saying that these were the best characters you were ever going to see in animation.
That's really cringy.
And it's just not the case. I don't think that they're horrible. I'm not going to say they're 1 out of 10. They're like a typical Saturday morning cartoon, you know, with a little bit of depth. I will admit that they added that layer of trauma, but without resolution, what does that matter? You know,
it's a waste.
Yeah, I feel like Lapis still has her trauma deep within her. I think Amethyst still has her immaturity.
Steven still has a bunch of trauma.
Yeah, Steven is full of trauma that never got resolved.
Which I get is what Steven Universe Future is setting out to do. But that's a different story. That's for another time.
Yeah, and we're talking about Steven Universe, so.
Yeah, true.
There's just a lot that's still kind of, you know, left open, and for all the characters. So, I mean, I get, just because of the extra layer of trauma that they give them, that adds a little bit of depth. I would say the characters are probably like a 6 out of 10. And the writing, episode to episode, it would be better to grade. The ending killed it. The ending absolutely destroyed. I have the same problem with Avatar: The Last Airbender. If you guys ever listen to me talk about Avatar: The Last Airbender, I will not shut up about that ending. Yes, come at me. I don't care. You can at me all day long. If you build a dramatic a dramatic story and you have a very anticlimactic conclusion, you have shot yourself in the foot. You have soured the taste of an otherwise great meal. The last bite is what you remember from a meal. You don't remember the first bite. You're going to remember if your spaghetti got cold, not how hot it was when you first started eating it. And that is how I feel about the writing in Steven Universe.
This is the thing, is like, the beginning it can be anything, you know?
Yeah.
Because that's your first introduction into something. Mm-hmm. The ending has to be good.
Exactly.
And good even if that means bad for the characters.
Yeah, sometimes characters don't get the perfect ending. You know, I think, and it's okay to have a medium level of happiness for characters at the end, because there's still life to go on, and that should be the most important thing, that there's still, we continue to move on and we continue to grow, instead of just kind of throwing everything off a cliff and deciding that everyone sticks the landing. You know, it just doesn't make a lot of sense.
Don't get me wrong, this is still one of my favorite shows. It will always have a special place for me. Just from an artistic standpoint alone, I feel like it's one of the better shows with world building, backgrounds.
Oh yeah, the world building is phenomenal. The world building is, I mean, some of the best I've ever seen in Western animation. I mean, I think it's up there with Avatar.
Yeah.
Which is probably the greatest world building I've ever seen.
But I'm not gonna be one of those fans. A true fan understands that there's flaws and doesn't sugarcoat them. You can't have a perfect 10 out of 10 show. So if you are a fan of the show and you are lying to yourself saying that the ending was amazing, perfect, exactly what you wanted, maybe that's what you wanted, but you can't deny that it wasn't good. Like, I mean, it's just simple as that.
At the end of the day, it's all subjective. You know, it's all a matter of opinion. But
it's all subjective, but when you've, like you said, when you've built this for 160 episodes.
It's like they were working on a masterpiece painting and they got to the last person in the painting and they drew a stick figure. That's what it feels like, you know? It's like just so disappointing. Or I don't know, like they were in the middle of building a snowman and it started to melt and then they just left it, you know? It just feels very rushed and inconclusive in a way.
Or it was melting and they put it in the shade and then stopped.
Yeah.
So it's still there in its melted state, but it's like, you know.
Yeah, you know, it's like when you microwave a Hot Pocket and the outside's burning hot and the inside's cold.
That's exactly what it is.
That disappointment, you know?
It's like tasting
it's
LaCroix.
Painful disappointment, yeah. It's not a bad show, and I think a lot of people, you know, as we've done this podcast, we've had some Steven Universe fans come at me, and that's fine, I don't care. And they seem to be under the impression that I'm, like, dogging on the creative team behind Steven Universe, and I'm not at all. They succeeded. Steven Universe is a massively influential show. It's hugely popular. It has touched people of all ages across the entire world. They have succeeded, and they have succeeded because they are good at what they do. That's not up for debate. That's just a fact. They're good at what they do. But, in my opinion, I wouldn't rank Steven Universe as one of my favorite shows. And it's okay. A show can be really good, and you can not like it. Or it can be really bad, and it can be one of your favorite shows. It's not what it's about. It's just about us exploring these two different animations and how, you know, me coming in from a totally out, like I said, I grew up watching Real Adventures of Johnny Quest. I didn't grow up watching stuff like Steven Universe. It's just not a typical show for me to watch when it comes to animation. I made him watch Haikyuu. Do you think he even wanted to watch Haikyuu coming from Steven Universe? No, he didn't. The point is that we're challenging ourselves to watch these, and we're gaining a new appreciation for different forms of animation and a new perspective on storytelling and characters and all that stuff. And I don't regret watching Steven Universe. I think it was very enjoyable. And like I said, there are some things that Steven Universe excels at, and it is the best at. World building, backgrounds, art in general. Some of the storyboarding was phenomenal.
Yeah, some of the things that they decide to tell the story through, like
like that
the flashbacks.
Yeah.
That last scene where it's the split screen, but it's
phenomenal.
two halves of Steven.
That was really cool. That was super unique.
Like, what other show does that, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think that there is a creativity in Steven Universe that you don't see in a lot of other shows. And they did a really good job of balancing the comedy and the seriousness. I just wish it would have been a little bit more consistent, like a little bit more of an uphill to the climax rather than these up and downs of plot and then not plot-driven episodes. I'm not here to say Steven Universe is a bad show. I'm just saying that I was disappointed in the ending, and that really, really
It really
sucked.
does spoil the water for you.
Yeah, it does. It's like that one E. coli molecule inside my drink of water. Yeah, so guys, don't think that I'm like dogging on Steven Universe. I just didn't like that ending, and there was some things about the characters that I think it was hyped too much for me too. I think that was a huge issue. If you're going to continuously tell me as a fandom that something is 10 out of 10, I'm going to go into it expecting it to be 10 out of 10. I buy into hype because I try to have an acceptable level of hype when I talk about things that I like. I try to like be real with people like, hey, you might not like this aspect of it, just giving you a heads up. But I didn't get any of that from Steven Universe fans, so the fandom just told me that it was the greatest thing that ever existed, and it's not even in my top 10 favorite Western cartoons, so it's just not. I probably will go back and watch more episodes again. Like I've told Isaac, the same thing with Haikyuu. Sometimes you just gotta go back and give it another watch because you know who these characters are a little bit better, and you can kind of appreciate some of the more subtle aspects. I don't know if there's any subtle aspects of these characters in Steven Universe. And, I might tune into Steven Universe Future and see where Steven takes us in his little journey. And I hope that you watch season 4 of Haikyuu. It would be great. But
yeah,
in the meantime, yeah, those are my thoughts. I'm going to say, overall, 7 out of 10.
Yeah, it was just that ending and the filler.
There's no such thing as filler.
That bugs me the most. Let's just get all of our frustrations out now. That nothing bugs me more than when the own show creators come out and say that filler does not exist in Steven Universe. It just doesn't.
What the hell was Restaurant Wars?
What was Kiki's pizza delivery service?
What was Onion Gang?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how you can say that with a straight face and then give me those episodes. A filler doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad episode. Okay, it's not a bad word, and it doesn't mean that it's not advancing characters. Not that a lot of characters were advanced in a way that
it's just not advancing the plot.
That's all it's doing, and you can't tell me those advanced the plot. They didn't. And here's the thing, I'm gonna be honest, I don't give a crap about Beach City Residents.
I know.
I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, there's so much other crap going on. There's so many other more interesting characters already with the Crystal Gems. We could have been on Homeworld in like season 3 if we would have gotten rid of all the other crap. I don't care about BT. I don't care about Mayor Dewey. I don't care about the cool kids. I don't care if there's some lesson that the cool kids have to teach me. I am not a child, and maybe that's the problem. Maybe the lessons that those episodes were teaching me was lessons that I learned 20 years ago when I was 10. Yes, I'm 30 years old. Congratulations to me for making it this far. So Steven Universe, I have to remind myself it's not made for me. And so those kinds of characters, those kinds of episodes, they're not teaching me anything because I've already learned those lessons because I'm an adult.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of adults that like Steven Universe. That's the majority of the people that I talk to about Steven Universe. They're in their 20s. They're in their 30s. Their 40s.
And we don't really get an explanation on how humans interact with gems and what happened between them. So that would have been a perfect introduction to Beach City characters.
Yeah, I
Maybe
think
giving them more episodes or experiences where there is danger.
Yeah.
Between like corrupted gems or, just something like that to make us more compelled to understand the Beach City characters.
Yeah, instead we just got a bunch of cliches.
Filler.
We got a bunch of filler. Yeah, I just wasn't a fan of the Beach City episodes. I'm just gonna be honest. I've been honest about it, but I'm still be more honest, I guess. Just wasn't a huge fan. There's some things that Steven Universe does really. I love the one thing that a lot of people don't like about Steven Universe that I really liked was the weirdness. I liked stuff like the watermelons and Watermelon Stevens.
Oh, I love the Watermelon Stevens.
I like when they did really weird stuff like cat fingers. As weird and morbid as it was so unique, and it just had that right amount of like what the heckness. I would if every episode had a little bit more of that in the Beach City episodes, maybe it would have been okay a little bit. It would have been more accepting because it would have
bearable.
been because it would have been more unique. But yeah, I know I don't care about Beach City at all. As I say on a podcast called Beach City CROWS.
Oh my god.
I don't know. It was a journey. It was a hell of a journey. That's all I gotta say. 160 episodes. That's a lot for me. You guys, people listening, don't understand how little of TV that I watch nowadays. I don't watch much TV, but I watch Steven Universe, and I like I said, I don't regret it. It was worth it. It was a journey. That's the only way to put it. Worth it.
journey with many ups and downs.
Lordy.
So now onto the Haikyuu side of things.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I had the privilege of watching, I believe it's the Tokyo Battles. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Stage play.
Yeah.
And I had already seen the Tokyo Battles anime form, the OVA.
Land vs. Sky.
Land vs. Sky.
Listen, as a Haikyuu fan, Land vs. Sky is like a 5 out of 10, okay? It's just not, it's not good.
I could definitely tell that there was parts missing, even as someone who hasn't read the manga. It definitely felt like they didn't have enough time to put everything in there.
It feels very incomplete and unfulfilling.
Yeah, it just feels very fast.
Yeah. It's like a flat soda.
I wish they would have had a whole season for it.
Yeah,
or
yeah.
even like 4 or 5 episodes, you know?
Yeah.
Just something to get more time and explanation into.
I mean, they cut out, if you're a manga reader, you know how much they cut out. Like, they chopped that thing into bits. It's brutal.
They chopped it up.
They chopped it up.
But this stage play actually helped me appreciate it more. This whole timeline in the Haikyuu universe.
Yeah, it's interesting because for me, when I remember being annoyed that they were, for some reason, I don't know why. I think it was because Karasuno had just won their ticket to nationals. And I was like, God, now we're going to move away from... And now I have to sit here and watch what's going on in Tokyo. I don't care right now.
Yeah, it's like taking your mind away from it. But see, that's something that Haikyuu can do, and it can make you care about it. But when Steven Universe does it...
That's a difference in storytelling, for sure. The different way they tell stories. Well, and it took me a couple of years before, and reading it a couple of times, and then I was like... Because I'd have to go back and read, and I'd be like, wait, okay, hold on, why is this, it was almost like a... Because the thing with Haikyuu is characters develop constantly. There is no... It's just like a real human.
Every episode.
Every day you live, you become a different person, and that's the way it is in Haikyuu, and sometimes I'd go back and just kind of like breeze through some stuff, and you have to, and it's been going on for years, so you have to kind of like refresh your memory. And it wasn't until probably like maybe like a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago, that I really, really started to, probably a year and a half, I started to really appreciate those matches and what they brought to Haikyuu in terms of expanding on the Haikyuu world and the characters. And obviously Daisho, my opinion on him by that point had changed dramatically because of we see who he is as a man, and I thought that was really great. Otherwise I would have still hated him, so...
See, and I went into it with Jackie already giving me knowledge about the manga and how, snaky, for lack of a better word, the snake team, what's their name again? Nohebe is. Like all of the little jabs that they do, the sneaky moves, and, playing with the ref's mind. So when I went into the OVA, I didn't really see much of that.
Yeah, they cut almost all of it out.
So it was kind of disappointing in that way, but the stage play revitalized it because they do pretty much all of that.
Yeah, they show all of the baiting that they did, and
just the choreography from each team, from Fukurodani to Nekoma to was it Nohebe? I always forget that.
You can just, if you can't...
The snake team.
Yeah, I was going to say, the best thing about Haikyuu is if you can't remember the name of the team...
They're literally snakes.
They're snakes. Like
the choreography for that team is amazing. Like,
oh, it's so just...
You'd think it'd be
slimy.
cheesy just watching it, but it's not, because it's like, that's just who they are as a team.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's something that Haikyuu does amazing. It's like a personification of animals through a team. Does that make any sense?
No, it does. It does. It really does. It's like it's the symbolism that Haikyuu has.
Exactly.
Haikyuu relies on a lot of symbolism for sure, and a lot of that comes through their teams and the teams that the animals that they represent as teams.
Yeah, the casting 10 out of 10 for this.
Of course, yeah, definitely.
I didn't really see anything that was like off character, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the casting was phenomenal on this stage play.
Yeah.
Bokuto's literally Bokuto. Actually,
that was the first thing that came out of your mouth. You're like, that's Bokuto.
He does that hey perfectly.
I know, it's so perfect.
Actually, there is one person.
Oh.
That I'm going to take back that statement, because there's one person I feel
it's
like
now a 9 out of 10.
Yeah, 9.8 out of 10. 9.9. They could have casted better Akashi.
Really? Interesting. So I'm torn on Akashi because I like the Akashi that Summer of Evolution. I thought he was great. I think this Akashi did the scene when they're outside the store really kind of sold me on that entire, like, if he hadn't played that scene well, that scene would have meant nothing to me, but he played it in a way where I was like, this really impacted me watching it.
So from my standpoint, and we mentioned this in the last episode where I watched the stage play, I wasn't, when I'm talking about like character casting,
it's a looks thing.
It's more of an appearance thing for me. I thought his acting was phenomenal for Akashi. I just felt like he didn't really look the part as much.
Interesting. You know what? When we're done with this, I'm gonna show you the Akashi
like
from Summer of Evolution. So
the hair is the only thing that really like stuck to me. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It felt very Akashi. His face didn't really.
Interesting. Huh. Okay. I mean, I can't say you're wrong, so... I mean, like, literally.
That's just my opinion.
Well, that's one of the things that's really interesting about Haikyuu is that when you do watch it or read it, it's very easy to picture how they would look in real life, which is why the stage plays, the casting is so freaking important, because it is an anime where it does seem believable. Compared to a lot of other animes where it doesn't really, like, it just, like, you don't want to see live action.
The Full Metal Alchemist live action. Yeah, Holy crap.
You know, there's some bad ones out there. We're just going to get that out of the way. Especially in the stage plays. There's some really awkward ones and cheesy. So it's very, so I can definitely understand. There's times where sometimes I see characters and I'm just like, okay, that's not how I pictured them as a real person.
Me complaining about one character, like, even that is like, that's a perfect stage play, pretty much. I feel like
it's pretty good.
It's not even complaining about the acting.
No, it's just his
literally just the face. Like,
yeah, for sure.
That's it.
It's because to me he looks like Akashi, so that's just why I'm like a little.
I don't know. That's not how I pictured Akashi.
We're gonna have to discuss this more on the podcast.
Kenma's a meme.
Kenma is a meme.
He is trolling 24/7, day in, day out. Whatever that freaking saying is. He's a troll. He's a master troll.
And the guy who plays him does such a great job. He just becomes Kenma. Like, he just does that little slouch, and you're like, there's Kenma. There's that boy.
How do you have no emotion while doing all these moves? Like, that's talent.
Yeah.
To stay with that emotionless face.
Yeah, the almost like, I'd rather be doing literally anything else right now.
Like, he doesn't even show that he's, like, tired or exhausted from these moves, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
I felt like the Fukuro Donnie match was slightly short. I understand because Nekoma gets wrecked.
They really do, though. It just goes to show you how powerful Fukuro Donnie really is. I mean, they're a great team, and I think that...
And they got everything in there that they needed to, like the whole Bokuto Akashi situation, and how the team perceives that, and how they get back to a good playing... I don't know, a good energy.
Yeah, and
momentum.
I think what they did really good in the play that they didn't make clear in Land vs. Sky is that Fukuro Donnie is a complete team. Like, yeah, Bokuto is their act. They're really the center of their power.
And he does have his hiccups, but for the most part.
Yeah, but I mean, like, you know, they brought in the other, like, Konoha. Like, they talked about Konoha and, like, you know, how he's that well-rounded guy that makes a team complete and things like that they didn't really explain in Land vs. Sky. But yeah, if you didn't care about Fukuro Donnie before this, you probably are at least interested in them now, which...
At least.
Yeah. And I think they did way better with the other match compared to what we talked about, like the baiting of the other players and manipulating the refs and stuff. The stage play did it way, way better than... It's not even in comparison to Land vs. Sky. It's just not even comparable at all.
Daisho felt very douchey, so perfect casting. I just love the choreography of this one more than any stage play. Yeah, and it's just more of that, like, knowing when to do certain things at certain times. You know, it's that perfect timing.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, this is pretty much the only complaint I have.
Nekoma.
Yep. So, I love the music. I love the sounds. Specifically, the sounds that they have. But there's a few songs I was like, they're not bad.
We joked several times that this is like Battle of the K-pop bands.
Literally.
That's what it felt like.
Yeah. And there's a specific song, and it's right in the beginning. So it's just, they just get you right there. And it's Yamamoto's sister. Mm-hmm. And she just screams. Nekoma, Nekoma,
Neko.
It's like, really?
Now it's stuck in your head.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, it's kind of annoying.
Like, but I love this stage play.
I'm glad.
I love that they went with an urban approach, because that is what Tokyo teams are. Tokyo is very urban.
Yeah. Well, we were talking about it when the opening started, and I was kind of warning him. I was like, get ready for rap, and you're like,
I
what?
actually loved the rap.
I'm glad. I think
it works.
It was pretty clever. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, you have to in the anime, I don't know if you even remember this, but there was the whole thing where Tanaka was calling Nekoma city boys or shitty boys, actually. Yeah.
I do remember that.
And Kuro, when they point out the sky, they think it's a sky tree when it's just a radio tower, and Kuro does his little hyena laugh, and he calls them country bumpkins. And it goes to show you the difference that, Karasuno is based on a school that's like in a small ass town. I mean, they're in the hills. They're in nowhere, essentially. And Nekoma is in Tokyo. Like that, there's a huge difference in terms of lifestyle and attitude and environment, and it's almost like they wanted you to recognize that right away. So they just threw it in your face with this super urban hip hop aesthetic and music.
Well, and it definitely adds to the character's personality and the team's personality,
Oh, definitely, yeah.
I mean, they already have their own personalities, but then when you throw, it's almost like a spell, I guess, or like a calculation. When you throw in all these personalities plus like being from a specific setting, it kind of adds into this other thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which I think adds depth, is what I'm trying to get at. The word depth. I don't know how to speak.
Well, it makes sense because it's all about your environment, and that's what they're getting at, is the environment that these guys are from is different than the environment all the other teams we've seen so far are from. Yeah.
And I didn't mention this to you, but I love the bold, bright red colors. Are you fucking kidding me right now?
We're getting to facts, guys. We're getting to facts.
Are you literally kidding me right now? I just love the bright, bold red color of their uniforms.
Oh, yeah.
And their team in general. Like, red to me, it's not one of my favorite colors, but in Haikyuu, it just works for Nekomata.
Nekomata is so sexy in that red jumpsuit. Or tracksuit.
I feel like Pearl right now. I can't speak. Nekomata.
Yeah, it definitely fits Nekoma. And I think that so does the gold, black, and white for Fukurodane, and the sponge uniforms for the scrubs, aka
Squubs.
Daisho and his boys. I think that's one thing, we've talked about this before, and you're the one who pointed it out to me, that the color palettes that they use for Haikyuu really works. And you definitely see that in the Tokyo teams, without a doubt.
Like, even Kenma, the color of Kenma's hair.
Yeah.
Like, that kind of... If you took a mustard color, but, like, desaturated it a lot...
So he's a hot dog.
It's like that Dijon mustard hair. And that, it, like, plays off of that red very well.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
From an artistic standpoint, it's called, like, I think it's analogous. Is that right?
I don't know. You're the artist.
I'm going to butcher this.
You're the artist, I'm the writer. That's why you talk about color palettes and I talk about characters.
But there's like specific, pretty much like, I don't know what it would be called. I can't speak today.
It's been a long day, guys. It's been a really long day.
There's like different, not rules, but if you do these things, more often than not, your art's going to look better. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
There's just tricks. So there's like, obviously yellows are going to work with reds because they're closer on the color wheel, Mm-hmm. So I think in that sense, they do a really good job with character design. There's none that are really out there, and if they are, it makes sense.
Yeah.
It's not too out there.
Yeah, I guess you're right, because I was thinking back on all the teams, and I'm thinking...
Besides anime here?
Yeah, well, he don't count. But I was thinking back specifically on, like, Shiratorizawa, the only, like, color that's really, like, sort of clashes with everything is kind of Tendo's hair.
But even that is, like, still, right next to the purple tone.
Yeah, it's not that far off. But, like, Aoba Josai is, like, flawless in their color palette. And I think so is Karasuno, for sure. Which those are, like, kind of some of the big teams. So that's a really good point. It definitely does makes me think about the aesthetic of Haikyuu a little bit more.
And Tendo's hair, I think, is even more like purpley.
I think it looks purpley because it's by purple.
Yeah, the
and
jersey.
It's not like a bright red. It's
like a subdued.
Yeah, exactly. So they learn something new every day.
Yeah.
Well, anyways.
Those were my THOTS
thoughts
on the Tokyo Battles stage play.
Liked it better in Land vs. Sky. So did I.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, guys. Well, it's been fun. I don't know if this is the last episode, guys. We don't know what we're doing.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll make more in the future.
Steven Universe future. And of course, we'll always do fan episodes, so tell us what you guys want us to do. We'll do them, because that's what we do. And I haven't decided if we haven't decided if we're going to do the Steven Universe movie. Isaac's already seen it, but the problem is that we just don't have any more Haikyuu. I mean, season 4 is airing right now, but that's not the same.
There was someone that asked us if we were doing season 4 of Haikyuu.
We haven't figured that. Well, I mean, I'm watching it, but...
Yeah, Jackie's watching it.
Am I going to do a podcast about it?
I'm pretty sure I'll watch it, too.
If you want to talk to me about season 4 of Haikyuu, find me on Twitter, at BoxerJacamus, and we can talk about it. Or find us on Twitter as Beach Crows, too, at Beach Crows. Or Nonessential Media, at Nonessential M. We're there, and you can talk to us. And you can follow Isaac, too, and follow his art. And, that's it.
We did it.
Dude, we did it.
Elbow.
My name is Jackie, and I watch Steven Universe.
My name is Isaac, and I have watched Haikyuu.
Woo! Woo! Maybe we'll see you guys next Saturday. We don't know. Hopefully. Maybe. We love you guys. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Let us know your thoughts.
Thoughts.
Your thoughts on the Steven Universe and the Haikyuu. Bye.
Bye.
Hey guys, it's Jackie.
And Isaac.
From Nonessential Media.
We just want to thank you guys so much for listening, and if you'd like, feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel or our Patreon.
And we want to hear from you guys. Let us know what you think. Let us know if you're watching along with us and what your thoughts are.
You can find us on Twitter at Nonessential
We're on Facebook as Nonessential Media.
We're also on Instagram at Nonessential Media.
Check out our website, nonessentialmedia.com.
So check us out.
Thanks again for listening. We truly appreciate every single one of you.
See you guys next Saturday for a new episode of Beach City Crows. Bye. Skibbly babbly bab.
Garnet's thighs and Daichi's thighs. 1 watermelon to start the game. 2 watermelons, they're feeling some pain. Where did Steven go? Where did Steven go? He's in between Garnet's thighs, Daichi's thighs. It's a watermelon crushing contest. It's the third watermelon. Greg shows up and he's got questions. Whoa, Steven! Let me tell you about when I was in between your mom's thighs. She had thick thighs. You have thick thighs. You are your mom.
This is Garnet back to get her. And my thighs are never going down at the hands of the likes of Daichi because they're so much thicker.
Daddy, Daichi's a daddy. Daichi's a daddy. Daichi's a daddy. Daichi.
Micha Mia!
Micha Mia! So glad to see you came.